Hi there. So in this video, we're going to be looking at how we can measure velocity. So touch velocity can be expressed by this equation here. So touch velocity equals touch minus the previous touch divided by seconds. So that's the maths answer. But what you need to know is the higher the number returned, the higher the velocity. And typically, you're probably going to be using this with swipe actions. Okay, so let's go through a demo and see how this works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my variables panel and I'm going to add a number variable just for this scene variable. And I'm going to name it velocity y. Okay. I'm going to come to my triggers panel and I'm going to add a touchdown trigger. And with this touchdown trigger, I'm going to target this rectangle that we've got in the middle of our screen. So it's going to target rectangle here. Okay, next I'm going to add a touch up trigger. And again, I'm going to make sure that my rectangle is targeted. Okay, so in touch up, I'm going to add an assign response. I'm going to target that variable we created, velocity y. And within the formula, I'm just going to add a very simple formula. So I'm going to start typing my dollar symbol to get my predefined variables up. And I'm going to be looking for touch velocities. I'm just going to start typing that. There we go, touch velocity. That's all I'm going to put in the formula. I'm going to click OK. Okay, next up, I'm going to add a drag trigger. And again, I'm going to target that rectangle. And within this drag trigger, I'm going to add a move response. So we're going to be able to want to drag this rectangle just vertically. So I'm just going to constrain the direction to vertically only. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come back to my variable here. I'm just going to turn on the little bug icon so I can see the velocity that's going to be returned. Okay, so let's just preview here. So we're effectively going to drag the rectangle at different speeds so we can kind of fling it up and down the screen. And depending on how fast you fling it, you're going to get the velocity that you've moved it at. So we always attach velocity to the touch up trigger. That's the point at which we want to measure the velocity. Okay, so let's open up preview and let's give it a go. So I'm just going to grab my rectangle here. I'm just going to throw it. And you can see I threw it quite hard, so we've got a very high velocity. If I now, you can see here, just moving it down, I've got a much lower velocity. So you can see I can just move it small amounts or maybe move it for a very long, slow period of time. You can see the velocity is very low. Okay. Okay, so what's also worth pointing out is that the number returned is always an absolute value. And an absolute number, if you remember, is a number that never returns a negative value. So it doesn't matter which direction I'm flinging it, I'm always going to get that positive number. Okay, so as you can imagine, velocity is pretty useful when prototyping games or inertia-based interfaces. So yes, you can have like a lot of fun with velocity, but it is more appropriate, I guess, to more advanced interactions and more advanced things like games. Okay, so that about wraps up our look at the velocity predefined variable, and I'll see you in the next video.